Okay, this is first episode of Moon Math. Got my good friend Mezma here. We're going to talk some crypto today.
How's it going?
So let's just talk about like our backgrounds a bit. So I've been in crypto since like early 2020. Was around for like DeFi summer, NFTs. Got play to earn a bit, and now I'm focusing mostly on crypto gaming because I feel like I got a good background there. Like I know a lot about the games and can plot out the economics. Mezma, talk a bit about your background before we start talking coins.
Yeah, for sure. So I started getting into crypto right around the end of 2017 into 2018 during the bull run. Originally just buying a bunch of the normal coins like XRP, Tron, a little bit of Ethereum, a little bit of Bitcoin, and then of course lost a little bit of interest during the bear market afterwards, and then that's when you and I started talking again about crypto during the next bull run, 2020, 2021, and where we started looking at some metaverse coins like Mana, some gaming coins like Illuvium, and of course DeFi summer. So, and yeah, now we're just looking into some AI coins, Bitcoin scaling, and we'll get into that in this conversation.
One of the interesting things about crypto is that before I got into Bitcoin, the first thing that we were into, because before I was into crypto, we were like into like the whole like ARK ETF system. We were big into like the metaverse stuff, like in 2019, like DCL Blogger and like
Yes,
Decentralized.
I remember that. I remember
like,
being in Decentralized with DCL Blogger during one event, and he was just rocking all the coolest swag, like the NFTs that you could wear in Decentraland in the metaverse during this live concert event. It was really surreal, but yeah, go on. That was a crazy time.
That was crazy. Like back in like October, November 2019, looking at like these NFTs like Cryptopunks. I remember I followed the Cryptopunk trading bot on like one of my other Twitter accounts, and I just like would watch them get sold every day, and they'd be like $80, $100, and I was thinking like, who the hell is paying $100 for a freaking JPEG?
Yeah, it was crazy. I remember that, and we were chatting about it, thinking maybe even at that time it was already too expensive. Of course, that whole classic tale, but yeah, we sadly missed the CryptoPunks, but I'm still looking to get some fractionalized CryptoPunk exposure, but it's kind of tough to get that. But yeah, that was a wild time, and actually just bought my first NFT this year again, so I'm excited about that. But
yeah, I still got some NFTs, I think, on Ethereum and AVAX.
Oh yeah, I remember the AVAX gaming.
Maybe those. Well, I saw. Do you know DeFi Kingdoms?
Yes.
Like Jewel. That coin shot up a bunch. Like Ansem on Twitter's talking about it, and all these guys.
I was just gonna say I saw Ansem chatting about it.
Dude, my what's it called? Like the heroes on there are gonna become liquid again, which is funny, because like all those games just died.
Yeah, that's one. There's probably some serious value in looking at some games that died and looking into the reasons of why they died and how they possibly could be resurrected. I mean, that Jewel would be crazy. I don't know a ton about it, but yeah, sounds would be unreal.
Yeah, it was always
hyping it up.
Yeah, Ansem definitely is leading the charge in retail right now with this whole like Solana thing.
Yeah, that's. I was looking at the DeFi Llama charts of Solana DeFi TVL, total value lock.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just exploded. Of course, with everyone now doing some more airdrop hunting because of what happened with Jito, right? I think it was Jito.
Yeah, liquid staking on Solana.
Yeah, so that was, I don't know. You could talk about your feeling in this because you actually experienced the Uniswap airdrop, and people I saw were talking about how Jito was actually very similar to the Uniswap event, where it's such a massive airdrop.
Oh yeah,
for
because
so many people, the distribution is massive, and
if you're
it's like the first huge one on Solana, so super sweet.
yeah, it's kind of like stimulus checks in 2020. Like, and now everyone has like I forgot how much it was. Like, what was the airdrop? Like maybe like 10 grand, 15
Yeah, I
grand.
saw it was like a minimum 10 grand, and then of course it went up from there.
So all
Like
that liquidity is
a
probably gonna
lot.
slosh around Solana, which is
Yeah,
good because I mean, like, price is the best marketing you can get. If price goes up, then people are gonna migrate over to the chain. Well, now like Anthem's talking about how everyone's migrating onto like the backwater chains, like the chains that pumped like late November 2021, right before everything just came crashing down, like Harmony One, like Phantom, or maybe Phantom was earlier, but just like all these layer one EVM chains and even non-EVM chains. Like people are just looking for ways to front run, like they're buying like the dog coins and stuff on those chains right now.
yeah. Speaking of Anson again, because he has been so popular, especially in Solana, but he's been talking about now SEI. So I don't know. I don't know how to pronounce it, but that it's another layer one that's in the top. I think it's the top 100. He's thinking it's gonna be another rotation. I'm pretty done with the whole L1 rotation game. I would just say stick with Solana, but yeah, to the last point we were making, I do think that it is a huge moment for Solana ecosystem that we can't like. I don't know if it's appreciated enough, because if you look back at Ethereum when that bull run kicked off, you could look back and think that the Uniswap airdrop was probably one of the most significant catalysts for that bull run. So how big will this be for Solana? I don't know. It's been extremely big so far. Now you're already seeing all the other DeFi protocols within Solana blow up because they're all expecting airdrops. So
Yeah, they're gonna get
flywheel's kicking off.
a ton of liquidity. I mean, one of the reasons why like ETH is being held back, like everyone's saying like, oh, like ETH is like crap, it's not pumping. It's because of like the Blast L2. That's Ethereum L2, and like people are going over there looking for airdrops, so they're not playing Uniswap Casino right now.
Interesting. Yeah, it's really, you really wonder how many different ways can the money be pulled.
But it's interesting,
like...
on Twitter right now, everyone's talking about how like the stable supply is not going up. Like it's pretty much just all the same money sloshing around plus leverage right now. So unless like we see stables come in, I'm not sure how.
Yeah, I think I saw a very small like uptick in stablecoin TVL, but it's not massive. So yeah, I remember I made some posts about that, about how the money really is sloshing around, and the Blast L2 phrase was kind of a signal for that. Because are we really getting this excited? It's cool, you know, you're getting your native yield where you don't have to do any staking or manual button clicking to stake. But how big of a deal is that really? Is that really like, should we be putting all our money into that, locking it up? And of course, we had all the drama with the multi-sig.
Yeah.
How secure it was, and they're looking for developers. So it's a whole can of worms in there. I'm not really focused too much on that area, but yeah, the whole L1, L2, it's still huge focus for people.
One of the interesting things that I wanted to dive into more is like how crypto games can be feasible. I know like Becker talks a bunch about crypto gaming, and he's kind of like the bridge from like crypto Twitter to like retail, because he can see both sides. Like obviously he's like business tycoon, sold Hyros for 9 figures, like he's a beast. But when it comes to gaming, I don't know, like I'm not sure if I see the intersection between money and games quite yet. Like how that will work.
Yeah, I know we've chatted about this before, and it's kind of difficult. There's not a lot of, I mean, I like always to go back to RuneScape. Remember in elementary school, I was with all my buddies. Everyone during recess huddled around one computer playing RuneScape. And that was the moment for me where, you just became obsessed with acquiring these digital items just to wear around, party hat or dragon helmet. RuneScape was the beginning of that, at least for me and many people in our generation. And they may actually be transitioning into Web3, which is interesting because they have, I think, a role out there looking for a dev currently. So that would be really interesting. But anyways, I mentioned them because RuneScape, they easily could transition into this, and they haven't. And I think that would be a really good case study to look into. What are the difficulties they're seeing, because they've been positioned for that for over a decade.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I remember people would be selling, GP, which is the currency of RuneScape, on eBay for US dollars, and they had to ban that in certain ways. And I think the biggest difficulty gaming is going to have that I do not see a lot of people talking about, the biggest risk is bots and basically just hackers or bots that can auto aim or complete a game way better than everyone else. And they need, even some of the biggest games right now, Apex Legends, Fortnite, they do deal with cheaters and bots in game that they cannot block. How do you have a crypto economy with NFTs being at risk and crypto being at risk if you're playing against bots and cheaters? It's going to be very difficult. So they're going to have to figure that out. That's probably the number one thing. And I would love to be able to find a project that, I'm sure there's a couple out there that are working on game bot security. And there's probably a token for it out there. But yeah, that'd be for another episode. But yeah, there's a lot of issue, and I don't have a great example. There are some great ones. Like right now, I know Crown. I think it's like a Kentucky Derby game. They're partnered with the Kentucky Derby, so people are buying these horses, and there's all these economics within there, and it's a really interesting game. I think people should check out because it's been doing really well. The NFTs are going up. Tokens going up. I don't actually own the token. I just think it's interesting. So yeah, it's probably a good one people can check out to see how a good example of a game that's working in the crypto economy.
Yeah, I think if you look at like economics and tokenomics, like you need, like every business's money comes in, money comes out. That's why like the play to earn games didn't work, because money would come in to like mint new NFTs, but stuff just goes hyperinflationary. If NFTs can grow at like 10% a week, eventually it's just going to be growing at like stupid numbers. And same thing like with the tokens. So that was kind of like a sinking iceberg. One of the projects that I'm intrigued about is this project called BLOX project. I'm not sure if we talked about it.
I think we chatted. Is that the
Roblox one?
Yeah.
Like when you look at like how gaming YouTubers monetize their audience, a lot of them for Roblox and for Minecraft, they'll open their own servers and their fans will just like buy like skins, or you can buy like passes to play mini games in there, and like they're not going there for an expectation of profit, which is really important because
I think
that's the way that the business will work. But the issue with like crypto games is that the people who play them are in crypto and they want to play it and make money.
Yes. No, it is a great point. I completely agree with that. I think
the only way play to earn works is if it's like a negative sum model. So like that's why like the casinos work. Like, if you play like poker in crypto, like it's a negative sum game. Like everyone comes in, like the pool is $10,000. The house takes their rake, which is like their percentage of the pot, and everyone's left fighting over the remaining 98%. And that's what's sustainable right now.
Yep. That totally makes sense. I think there's a good point too, and we've chatted about this before as well, is whales playing these games, right? Let's say you have someone with a boatload of ETH, just wants to play around.
Yeah.
They are in themselves, supplying that extra money, right, to the ecosystem. They're willing to lose a little bit to play around in the game, bet around. I think that's also a key point that people don't always talk about. Well, where is the money going to be coming from? But I think the point you mentioned is super important as well.
Yeah. So until that works out, then I'm not sure if I can be bullish long term on these games. Like obviously short term, everything is just pushed up by narratives and hype. That's why you'll see like game studios and they have like games that are pretty much unplayable pumped to being worth like 9-figure valuations, which is just dumb.
Yeah, it is insane. I remember that during the last full run 2021, I was checking into CoinGecko gaming coins. It's one in like 1500th rank, Defi Kingdom or something, and you'd be playing on your screen would be like this 2D game. It's just terrible game, and the coin was going up hundreds of %. And it's those moments where you're just like, okay, this is not sustainable. But yeah, I mean, Axie was a great example of all that, and I think you were pretty early on calling that. You saw some red flags. I don't know if you want to go into that, but
I was in Axie from like I think like $5 to like 100 something.
Yep.
But yeah, like just saw like it wasn't really like sustainable. But honestly, like I wouldn't say my sell timing was like all skill. I wanted to I rotated into time and then like did super well there.
Right. That was a good one.
And then I rotated out of time before like it crashed into like Cribata, which is like a play to earn game on Avalanche, and then just got decimated there. So
it was a big risk reward play.
Yeah.
Huge. That's what you do in the Pico Bowl.
But yeah, I think this run there's going to be a lot better games that come out. But one of the things that I'm not sure if we talked about it already on this call, but how NFTs are kind of like they kind of kneecap studios when it comes to making more money off of their players, because right now, like we're looking at it from like like we're the business side, like we're not the player side. We want to see like what is the maximum value we can get from our players. Like the thing with NFTs, like they'll always be around, but like when, let's say like FIFA goes from like FIFA 2022 to FIFA 2023, you need to buy like new items on the game, and that brings in new revenue for Electronic Arts. With NFT games, if you just buy the NFT once and you play forever, then there's less incentive for the game studio to keep refreshing the game. Like this is what happened with Valve and Team Fortress 2. Like they don't make much money off the game at all. Like it's free to play. People will buy items like here and there. Like they'll buy like loot boxes and keys to open them. But a lot of the items are already there. Like they've been in the game since like 2008 or whenever the game started, and people just trade around the same items, and they're not worth much. Like you can get a good hat or like a good looking gun for like a good hat for like $5, or like a crazy fire gun for like 20-30 bucks. And the supply is always going up, so the prices will always come down, just because unless the demand is increasing, which it really isn't. So that's another issue that crypto games are going to have to face, because they say, oh, like NFTs is going to solve it. It'll solve some things, but it also make new problems.
Yep. Yeah, I think studios are gonna have to make a decision, because I don't know. You see games like Counter-Strike, and I don't know if you've seen some of the headlines of these gun skins that are going for hundreds of thousands of dollars. And if the Counter-Strike was, I'm not sure how I don't know if they get a piece of that, how they structure their fees, but if they had if they're running crypto based NFT type skins for their guns, they could easily charge a fee on that, like any creator does on OpenSea. And that could be way more than just a $20 Fortnite skin, right? And you're already seeing some of these, I would say most of them are allowing you to gift skins to your buddies.
Okay.
And that's interesting, but of course they're not, that still stops the entire economy from developing, right? They're not going to allow any of that to get outside their ecosystem. So I don't know, I think some of them need to see how they could just take a fee, and prices would go extremely high for certain rare items like you see in Counter-Strike, and they might see a lot more money than they would in a system like Fortnite, where you can't trade your skins. Though I'm sure initially most of them, they're, to your point, just extremely worried that they're not going to get that revenue anymore. Instead of my buddy buying the skin that he's jealous of, that I have, I can just send it to him when I'm bored of it. So now they miss out on that revenue, right? And
that's like a
huge.
Lot of revenue. Yeah.
It's huge amounts. So I don't know. For them, maybe they've done all the calculations. They don't see it fit, but I think some games are going to prove that the model works soon, and we're seeing that already. Like, there's some really, Illuvium, right? This is still being built. It's a AAA game. We still haven't seen these incredible games being built. Star Atlas on Solana. These are massive games, so we'll see. It could be. I think it could work out.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely still excited for what gaming's gonna do. Like the sector is growing like mad. I mean, it's interesting. Like even if you go outside in like your neighborhood, kids don't play outside anymore. Like I'll walk around, and it's like after school, I'm like, there's no kids like playing basketball, playing hockey, skateboarding. They're all inside on Fortnite. So definitely like the demand side is there and will continue to be there.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see some data on how much kids put into, digital items over physical items like clothing. And at school, what is the social proof value of that over the other, I'm sure the digital items are just gaining so much ground in that area.
It's nuts. Yeah, let's talk about these AI cryptos. Actually, no. First, let's talk a bit about Helium, because I know that this project's been like beaten down, but they've got some new news that came out.
Yes, Helium. That one's been brutal. I've been holding that for the last few years. all throughout the crash. And yeah, recently they just came out with big news that they have nationwide 5G coverage, $20 per month, unlimited data, and you can refer friends for $5 credit. And then you can also provide data to the network and get paid in mobile tokens. So that's also a Helium-based token. It's on Solana. And pay off your bill with that. So it's incredible. And now you're seeing DIMO, DIMO, which is a device that goes in your car and tracks all your car data to make it, very trustworthy for you and other people when you're trying to transact with your vehicles, try to sell them online. People will trust you, and you can trust other people if they're using the DIMO device, because you can check, all the data from how fast they've gone, the oil changes, you name it. I don't know a lot about cars, so I don't know the value of the actual device compared to what newer cars already give you, but they work with Teslas, and I think they still give you a benefit. Anyways, it's incredible because this device is using Helium too. And so now you're seeing all these other devices that are starting to use the Helium network and build on it. So this is a whole other DePIN project with its own token. It's called DIMO token. So the 5G is really interesting, but there's a whole other area that people aren't focusing on, which is these other projects that are going to be huge DePIN networks that are all on top of the Helium DePIN network. So I think that's really interesting area that people should be focusing on. DIMO's been doing extremely well. The problem with these and a lot of these DePIN networks is the inflation's crazy.
Yeah, tokenomics stuff.
Yeah, they have to fund all of these people who buy these physical devices. Like, you're paying $400,000 for some of these devices. You want to be getting some rewards right away. And if there's not enough demand, they're just giving you that reward with no earnings coming in. So
yeah, it's kind of like the same issue as like the play to earn games.
Yeah, exactly. They have a reward bucket for just you being online, which is basically 99% of the rewards, and then they have the bucket for actual people needing your DePIN infrastructure, like someone maybe wanting some 5G network. And that's starting to really grow now that they've done this nationwide network. So really cool news.
Yeah, I think the affiliate model is really important for crypto scaling. Like, if you can refer someone, like let's say like you refer me to the Helium network and I put my phone on it, and instead of getting like paid just like $5 in credit up front, you get paid like $1 per month.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you get let's say like you refer 25 people, then like you get like $5 a month in profit, and your phone plan is free. Which is like
nice.
Huge.
They had like a recurring profit thing.
Yeah.
And get into kind of like that pyramid scheme style, but not so much.
But like it's a real service that people use.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, people aren't
That's what I mean. It's like you could make it that without it being an actual scheme, right?
You have to tune the economics to make it make sense, yeah.
Right. And that's, I mean, going back to Blast, that's kind of what people were upset with Blast, is they actually made it more into a gamified L2 with this whole point system and referring friends so you get more points, and it seemed very pyramid-like. Although it's not, of course, a lot of crypto seems like that, and it's not always the case. It is interesting. We're seeing a lot more of that, and even with L2s like Blast. But yeah, go on.
But yeah, like with crypto, like referring people, and like you kind of become a part of the company. Like, you get the dividends from it. Like, would I rather refer someone to like AT&T or to Helium Network? You get on Helium, you get the same product but cheaper, and I get money every month. Like, it's kind of a no-brainer. And then that just forces competition, and it makes the whole market better.
Yeah, no, it's a win-win. You don't get those often, but crypto has a lot of win-wins in its future. I think it's going to be really interesting. There's a new project too, out of Solana, where you're actually, speaking of AI coins, if you want to transition into that, you would actually, I just found out about it today, so barely know anything about it, but where you're actually giving the data to this AI system. So maybe you import some of your data from your apps, personal data that you're feeling comfortable sharing, and you'll get rewarded for any LLMs that are using it, right? Any ChatGPT competitors that are needing this data to build their system, you're going to be getting coins as a reward. So I think there's a huge opportunity in people giving their data away, either for advertising projects, AI projects, and getting rewarded for that. Because
is this
right now,
the
Facebook,
genomes one?
Yeah, another example of that would be genomes.
Okay.
Giving your genetic data. That one's a really interesting project. Decentralized science blew up the last month because CZ, Binance CEO, well, previous CEO, when he in his downtime basically said that one of his big interests is decentralized science, and yeah, all those products blew up along with Genomes DAO. So yeah, that's another one where, you know, I'm going to provide my genetic testing data. Instead of going to another provider, I'm going to go to Genomes DAO, and it's going to be secure, and I can decide when I want to provide my data to certain companies that are working on, you know, genetic engineering. It could be even gene editing companies, and then I'll get paid directly for that. So yeah, that's another really interesting area in crypto that's just been doing extremely well recently. I think everyone's going to be excited to share all their data if they know it's safe and they're getting rewarded for it. You know, Facebook would die for this data. Yeah, exactly. I mean, Facebook would die for this data. All Facebook just has, you know, the stuff you post, but it has mostly just the pages you like and your birthday and very minimal data. Now, they do extremely good at advertising with that data, but it could be 100x if we're providing them all of our data. So I think that's I'm still looking for a big advertising coin to come along. But yeah, that's a whole other narrative that hasn't hit yet, and I think that'll be an interesting one for.
Yeah, one of the interesting things about narratives is that, like, you can't really like overthink it too much.
Yeah.
Like, it has to be easy enough for people to grasp. That's why like gaming is like super good. Even though like a lot of the projects don't really make too much sense, it's just like the story behind the gaming hype word. It's like the AI, like if you asked like 99 out of 100 people on the street how an AI model actually works, they couldn't tell you. I couldn't tell you. Like,
no, I couldn't tell you either. Yeah, those, I mean, it's just getting so complex. If you can get any edge, just keep reading as much as you can. But yeah, I don't understand half the stuff that's going on. But if you can buy into the narrative, the cleanest, especially ones that fit multiple narratives at once, right?
Yeah.
You know, Render's a great example of that, being the metaverse, AI, right? Those two huge ones. NFTs too, because people create. But that, you know, you can bucket all of this in metaverse. Eventually, it's all just going to be bucketed into a couple of them. But yeah, I don't know. I think advertising is going to be a huge one. That's one that I don't see anyone talking about. That's like massive. That's what all the biggest businesses in the world pretty much rely on. Right?
Yeah, like once you get past a certain
Facebook,
point, you need to advertise.
Twitter can't survive without it.
Yeah, I hope Elon figures out like how to make Twitter appealing for advertisers. Like it's really interesting seeing that whole conversation about how advertisers are threatening to leave, and a lot of people don't really understand, like, if Twitter or X, like however it's called now, if they just like had as much data as Facebook, they could just say like F you to like every advertiser, because if I have a product and my ads are profitable on Twitter, then I'm just going to run them until they're unprofitable, and that'll bid up the CPMs, and then Twitter will get more money. So if he figures that out, then X is pretty much unstoppable.
Yeah, I did see some people complaining that it's a lot harder to target on X because of the data. You know, there are a lot of anonymous accounts. People don't have to put in a lot of their personal information when signing up. Yeah, it's a lot harder to target people. So you'll get ads for something that might be for someone completely different than you, and it's just a complete waste of money. So yeah, people, not only because of the rumors of all the stuff going on with Elon and the hate on the site, but also people are having difficulty advertising and having success with that. So hopefully, yeah, maybe he can integrate this whole idea of asking for the data rather than just trying to scrape whatever you can get. Try to ask your users for it and reward them for it, and I think a lot of success will come through the platforms that are doing that. We're already seeing that with some crypto projects that are, you know, I'm sure Brentech, Lens is still building the way. I'm sure they'll figure something out, but yeah, it's a long game. Social takes a long time. That network effect is, I can't imagine building that from scratch.
Yeah,
I mean, that's why Elon bought Twitter, right? He's like, I could go start my own, but this is gonna give me like a 5-year head start. And I guarantee you, he would never start his own.
it's so hard.
It's not gonna work. But yeah, social. Yeah, one last point I want to make on gaming. I think the other huge risk is that people get bored, and you have to keep improving on games, or people do not stay.
Oh yeah.
Now there's some
Good point.
examples, right? There's some examples. Like what? Here's a great example. Halo, one of my favorite games, was one of the biggest games, if not the biggest game in the world when it came out, and when it started to actually start the esports scene in the US, when we had MLG, Major League Gaming, hosting these events. And yeah, since then, it's just been, it's just been changing a lot. But yeah, it's a lot happening.
Yeah, I mean, like, that's how I think one of the ways to offload like the innovation is to put it on the community. Like that's how like Team Fortress stays relevant, like to this day. Like the community keeps making new maps and new content for it. But if you're trying to rely on the company to do that, then it's going to be like true uphill battle.
Yeah, that's the thing. And yeah, to finish my point with Halo, they were on the top of the world, started the whole esports scene, and then yeah, now they're just, even with the backing of Microsoft, I think that Microsoft put hundreds of millions into Halo, and it was a flop. How do you expect some of these random anon developers to create a game that's going to last years and years? So, you know, it's going to be really difficult. That's why I always try to resort to a pick and shovel play, right? Ethereum would be the easiest, obvious bet on a pick and shovel play. But then even more so would be something like Beam, which you've covered in your videos, and you know a lot about it as well. So that's something I'd be more interested in than picking any individual game, other than maybe just trading it for the bull run or a couple of months here and there. But I don't really like to trade. I like to hold for years.
Okay, yeah, just to continue on the pick and shovels thing, yeah, Beam is going to be a great play. It has good distribution from Alex Becker and has good following on Twitter. Some smart guys. Yeah, also Pentoshi on Twitter, who's beast trader and well known.
Yep.
Interesting thing with Beam is that they have like this whole venture fund thing going, which I talked about in my Beam video. So it is like kind of like an ETF of gaming plays. Like if one game pops off and becomes worth like a lot of money, then Beam is going to fly, and like their investment is going to fly.
No, that's really interesting. I think there's like a huge opportunity within there, finding a game, the first big game within the Beam ecosystem. So I think there was maybe one or two that I saw getting talked about a bit on X. I think one of them has a token, or I'm sure they're going to be airdropping or launching a token. I think if you're bullish on Beam, you should also be bullish on the games that they invite into their ecosystem on their chain. Maybe check out some of their games. That would be another good follow-up video, possibly.
Yeah, and one of the things with Beam is that they were on Avalanche. Like they had their own subnet, which like it's pretty much like a layer 2 on Avalanche, where they use the Beam token as gas. But they recently, I think last week, canceled that, and they moved over to ImmutableX.
Yeah, that's a big.
That I was watching
big move.
Bankless podcast where they talked with this IMX guy, and like IMX is also partnered with Polygon. I'm not sure if you heard that.
Yeah, those it's gonna be.
Polygon gets like not enough respect on like crypto Twitter. Like their business development team is amazing.
Oh yeah, no, it's insane. No, they're incredible. I mean, we saw in 21, we saw them partnering with every major Web2 company that was trying to get into the game, like all for their NFTs, for the chain, you name it.
So yeah, what's their ticker now? Are they called Polygon or Matic?
Yeah, I think they're trying. I think they started POL, so Pol or Polygon.
Okay.
But right now it is still Matic. If you check on CoinGecko and everything, but I think they're supposed to transition the coin to Pol. I'm not exactly sure how that's all gonna work though.
Yeah, that's gonna be beast for Beam to be working with that team.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to be the most low-hanging fruit in that whole area. It's got to be like the biggest game that's running on Beam.
Because one of the issues, like what I talked about when I made my Superverse video, this guy Elio Trades, who is like buddies with Becker. He hired this guy named Rick Ellis, who's pretty much the guy who made Steam back in the day. Yeah. So a lot of he's head of product, I think, at Superverse.
Oh damn. Okay, cool.
Yeah. He talked a bit, like there's this interview with him and Elio on either the Superverse Twitter page or like the Imposters Twitter page, where he talks about like his story and like his thesis going forward. And if you want to save 40 minutes, pretty much like they talk about how Valve works. Like if you don't have results on your project really quickly, like within like 6 weeks, they just cut it. So they move really fast, and they model stuff off of what's already like been proven to have demand in the market, which is definitely a positive. So
competitive.
Like a lot of games that are popular are just like modifications of other games. Like you talked about like Gary's
it's
mod.
all about remix.
Yeah. So that's what they're gonna try to do. Like that's what they're trying to do with like Imposters. They talk about like user generated content a lot, because that's how like Fortnite got popular. Like people made content about it, and then people said, "Oh, this game is like sick," and then it just kind of flywheels.
Yeah, I mean,
So,
that goes back to my Fortnite is just the best example of like a game that blew up, and then I think they're still doing extremely well because they transitioned though, right? They transitioned away from just that core builder game into a whole metaverse where you can make your own games on top of the engine that Fortnite runs on. And
yeah, so that's
the
called
key, that they transition to a bigger, way bigger idea where anyone can create their own game and you can join their game. So it's like a Forge from Halo, right? The Forge. That's what made Halo huge, is you created all your own custom games and your custom maps. All your friends could play them, and you created games that were way better than the modes that the actual devs made. And this is what Fortnite's doing and why they're now still relevant. But their original game, Fortnite, like, I don't know anyone my age that plays that, and even a couple of years younger than me. Maybe some younger kids still, but it's a great example that the game itself will eventually die, no matter how good it is. No matter how good. It'll have its core group, like Super Smash Bros. Still relevant, has its core group. But it's not going to be creating billions of dollars. People need to lower their expectations. But yeah, that's probably the most important point. People need to be careful investing in gaming coins. Yeah, the pick and shovels, the beam play is very smart.
Yeah, like Epic Games, they have I don't know what it's called. It's like one of their like web players that like people can make games on top of, and they'll make revenue off that. So
I love the oh yeah, go on. Go back.
No, we'll finish this point about Epic Games, then we'll circle back to Polygon Deal Team.
Yeah, no, I did want to mention earlier, I think I was getting really excited about one of the points you made. I think it's so true, which is the one you made about Roblox, right? Backpacking off of already established games or ecosystems that are maybe could be Web 2, but creating it into a revenue scheme that's built on top of crypto. So that seems huge, and that more just brings me to everything. Everyone's just going to eventually be investing in DAO tokens. Pretty much everything is, in the sense that DAO, but some are actually called DAOs, right? They're like the genome DAO. So I think eventually, we'll have these DAOs that could be backpacking off Web 2 companies, or completely Web 3, and it'll start to be a gray area. But it's really exciting. I think that Roblox play is a huge one.
I think it's definitely good for like passive income. As long as the team is good, then they will hopefully do good things. One of the things I was talking to the BLOX team on X about is how they should partner with like a YouTuber for better distribution of these games. Because if a YouTuber gets in there and they can maybe do like a revenue split, that'll be good for both parties, because the kids who play Roblox aren't on crypto Twitter saying, oh, hey, let's find a project that has mini games. No, they're on like the Roblox server menu or however it works in the game looking for games, or they're playing the game that their favorite YouTuber is playing.
Yeah, no, exactly.
And they asked me like, oh, is there any influencer you want us to partner up with? And I said, I don't know any Roblox influencers, but you guys should. You guys are building on Roblox. You got to figure out your distribution system.
Yeah, DCL Blogger, actually, I don't know if you still follow him, but he's really full blown off into that area. With his MetaKey NFT project, he's really trying to back off of that the Web 2 strategy there. I think he's trying to build stuff in Roblox as well. I mean, there's a couple people really hyped about it, so I think that point you made is key. People should be focusing more on that area instead of just looking for the next thing that's starting from the ground up.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to starting new games, this is what they talked about on the Polygon ImmutableX Beam podcast, is how it's tough for developers to know where to start, like what game engine to build on in crypto. And with like the kind of like merger or partnership of Beam and Polygon and ImmutableX, they said they have something like 70% market share. So it'll make it a lot easier for people to come and build on crypto because there's just less barrier to entry when it comes to like accumulating knowledge.
The mergers are going to be massive. Like, I think that was a really big moment that happened. I think it was last week that news came out, right?
Yeah.
And I think we're going to see a lot more of that, and people are going to be shocked with how big they are. And it'll make it a lot easier. It'll make onboarding a lot easier. And I think it's going to be really exciting to see once they finally solve all these issues between chains and everything too. I mean, this is also a big problem. So hopefully Chainlink does its thing in that area. But yeah, I don't know. The really cool area other than those classic narratives that I'm focusing on is the Bitcoin scaling narrative, and that one.
I think that one's so underrated. Yeah,
I think that one's finally coming around because we're finally seeing stuff that can actually decrease that block time or the transaction time on Bitcoin. It's so long, and it's been especially long and expensive because of all the new NFTs that have come to Bitcoin with Ordinals and stamps.
Yep.
And we've seen years ago there's other ones. There's RSK. Lightning's the most famous scaling solution for Bitcoin.
Yeah.
But we haven't really seen that blow up. So right now we're seeing the biggest, and I know you know of this, the biggest leader right now in this area for Bitcoin is Stacks. In the Stacks ecosystem, token STX. And they've been building for a long time. The founder, he's completely doxxed. He's pretty famous in the industry. He's contributed a lot since pretty much the beginning. He's incredible, and he's been really hyping up what's coming around the corner, which is the Nakamoto upgrade. And this is going to make Stacks transaction time go down to like 4 or 5 seconds from 10-30 minutes on Bitcoin.
Wow.
And incredible. And where it actually settles on Bitcoin. So I think security is going to be pretty good for the most part. This is not my expertise, but a lot of people are getting excited about it. TVL is rising. I mean, that's been the most difficult problem for all the previous projects that tried to scale Bitcoin, is that people were not willing to move their Bitcoin onto these experimental projects because it wasn't truly settling on Bitcoin. It wasn't actually backed by all the hash rate. And going down that rabbit hole, I'm not an expert in that area, but Stacks seems to be the leader in this trusted area of scaling Bitcoin. So within Stacks, there's a lot of opportunities too. So there's a project called Alex, which I've been kind of diving deep down, and they're kind of like, you could think of them like the Uniswap for Bitcoin, but they're also a bridge provider, so you can bridge from Ethereum to Bitcoin. And they're also going to be onboarding the new stablecoin, which will be SBTC. I think it's it's a Stacks based Bitcoin. But it's not actually stablecoin. Excuse me. It's just a Bitcoin that will actually be able to settle within a few seconds. So that's all really exciting. But the most amazing thing happening on Bitcoin right now is the Ordinals and the stamps. So we have had actually an NFT on Bitcoin. It just wasn't called an NFT. It was back in 2014 using a protocol built on Bitcoin called Counterparty. And so there were actually pictures put onto the Bitcoin blockchain all the way back in 2014. But now we have a new protocol built on top of Bitcoin called Ordinals, which you've probably seen. Many people have already seen if they're active on X. And these, they inscribe a message. It's called JSON data onto a individual Satoshi. And you basically can trade these like they're meme coins. But some are actually trying to have a utility token as well. So it's a whole new area to dive into that I'm just starting to. So it's been extremely exciting. But it's also been really controversial because you're seeing people within the industry fighting. Bitcoin Max is saying this is bad for the chain. It's increasing fees too much that people can't even, someone in El Salvador can't buy coffee because the fee is 15x price of the coffee. So there's this huge battle going on. It's extremely risky, but it's been very fun to pay attention to. So, and it's solving one of the biggest concerns with long-term risk to Bitcoin, which is the fees, right? If they don't have enough fees, once the block reward decreases so much, there won't be enough security. So
exactly, yeah.
This could be huge for Bitcoin and be a little bit of a wake-up call for some ETH maxis or Solana maxis, because Bitcoin's coming. It's coming.
I mean, yeah, Bitcoin. This will unlock like a ton of liquidity. Like so there's gonna be DeFi protocols built on top of Bitcoin, pretty much.
Yes.
So Aave will probably come over and stuff, or like the Aave equivalent, and people will be able to get leverage against their Bitcoin and go trade whatever is trading on Alex.
Yeah, well, imagine BlockFi, but actually on chain, right? This is what we needed. Everyone loved the idea of BlockFi because
BlockFi rocket ship.
Yeah, everyone wants that yield until you realize, oh, it's not my keys, right? I forgot. I don't actually own this Bitcoin. It's gone.
Yeah.
But with these new projects on stacks like Alex, like Arcadico, which is another even smaller one for those degens that want to dig in. DIKO, it's another project. And, there's a lot of new. There's also Zest, ZEST, which is coming out. They don't have a token, so that could be a little airdrop alpha for you there. But yeah, there's a lot of really cool projects starting to build on stacks, and I think they're going to bring in a ton of that capital that was itching for it when BlockFi was around, but without that risk of the middleman. So it's extremely exciting, and just trying to stay up to date every day in that area.
Yeah, tons. I feel like this cycle, it's even harder to keep track of everything that's going on chain. It's just impossible, pretty much at this point.
It is. No, it is impossible. I saw
so, like, what would you say, like, for, like, there's obviously a lot of traders and investors, maybe even, like, people who it's, like, their first cycle listening to this. How should they, like, manage that? Because it's easy to chase whatever's pumping, and then once it's done, another thing's pumping, and you don't really end up with a lot of gains because you only catch the last maybe like 60-70% of a move.
Yeah, no, that's a great question, because this is what everyone fails with. I failed with it my first cycle as well. Most people, the classic thing is you buy once the price goes up. The price is what pushes you to buy. And eventually, when that hype subsides and the price goes down, noobs will typically sell and then buy the next thing that's hyping. So they just keep rotating at the tops, and it's terrible, right? It's like the worst strategy you can do. So right now, here's a great example. Pizza token, which is a ordinal BRC20 NFT meme token on Bitcoin right now. It absolutely exploded after the Ordi hype, which is another token, BRC20. It went to top 50, Ordi did. And so you, of course, had the derivatives, like pizza, which is a meme token based off of the whole 10,000 Bitcoins for 2 pizzas that were purchased years ago. And so this pizza token exploded, right? And now it's come back. So I'm sure there's tons of noobs right now selling this pizza token saying, oh no, it's dead. It's dead. But that's when you need to be focusing in and going in when everyone else is fearful. Because now it's an absolutely terrible coin utility-wise. There's an absolutely zero utility. It's just a meme token. But if you're trying to bank off these narratives, you want to go into the ones that are hyped and then wait for them to die down. If you didn't get in early, just wait for them to die down. As hard as it may be, it will die down. And then it'll come back. You just have to think of all of it like musical chairs. Every narrative is going to have its time, and then it's just going to circle back around. When it loses that steam after the first couple of days of hype, don't assume it's dead. It will come back around, and I think that's what most people struggle with, is thinking that they just have to keep trading and moving through these different narratives where they should keep their core positions and wait for it to play out. That's probably my best tip for anyone new coming in here, because it's really easy to just get whipsawed around and just keep chasing narrative after narrative, and then you get lost with too many positions, too many things to manage, and then you end up getting wrecked. So yeah,
another interesting thing that we both see in the market is how inefficient crypto is. Like,
yes.
Let's say, like, for example, like we're talking earlier about Helium. That news came out and the market didn't really like react that much.
Yes, this is very interesting.
So we talk a bit about that.
Yeah, I think it's weird because when they came out with the news, I did watch Helium, and it did well, but it took another day until it really got appreciated. It's almost like people don't realize how much has been built, that when they see certain news, they would assume. Like, I think a lot of people are assuming they're backpacking off of T-Mobile or another big provider. They do work with other providers, but it's because of their infrastructure that makes it possible. Because of all of these hotspots that people bought, these physical devices that they put high up in certain locations, at the top of their apartment building, at the top of a pole or a mountain range somewhere. Wherever they can put them, people are putting them. And it's because of these people that the network is able to be as successful as it is. And it takes some time for people, when they see these news, to really dig into it and see what Helium's been doing for the last several years. And I think that's why you saw that delay. And yeah, to your point, there's so much opportunity because there's so many things to be distracted by. The opportunity is because there's so much going on that it's impossible for everyone to keep up. So if you can dig in there when news inevitably does happen and people find out about it in FOMO, you're already locked in, right? And that's also why it's it's not a good idea to spread yourself too thin enough across too many narratives, because you can't truly know when something's really hitting off. Like DPIN was one of my really big focuses over the last 2 years. It's been doing extremely well, and you're seeing some of these projects really kick off and get adoption. And it's not going to be easy for people to know where to look to see that adoption if they haven't been putting the time in. So I would just stick with a couple narratives and have some conviction, and hold out when the hype dies down, because it'll always come back around if you have
another investing strategy that I do sometimes, which is kind of playing with fire, is investing in coins that like people tweet out, because there's some people who will just like sell into their audience. Like they'll shill just like a random coin and they're like, this coin's the future, and then as their audience buys in, they just sell out, which is extremely bad.
Yep, I was experiencing that something today.
But
cousin, yep, go on.
But there's other people who don't do that. Like, let's say, like, well, every cycle is someone different. But just to tie this back to the point with Helium, how it takes a while for the market to react. There's always a few outspoken voices who have a lot of influence when it comes to like what coins go up. Like right now, we're talking earlier about like Ansem. If he tweets out like a new coin that he's accumulating, and you have him like, let's say like on notifications, and you go like, it's like, oh, like let's say like pizza, and you go flip over to Alex, buy pizza, and you're like, wow, like there's really not much price impact because you just tweeted it like 2 minutes ago. But over the next coming hours, all the people who are like just seeing the tweet, like, oh, like Ansem's in on it, like I love his trading, they buy it, and then like you're up and you can sell, and that's just like a quick way to like flip stuff. Just because like the market's like so inefficient, and people don't want to think for themselves, or they have the same strategy that I have in saying other people don't want to think for themselves. I'll buy this stuff because they're gonna buy it. It doesn't really matter what like the strategy is as long as it works, but yeah, that's just like another way to take advantage of what's it called, of the inefficiencies in markets. Because like in TradFi, like if someone comes out and like says I like the stock, like if Warren Buffett comes out at like 2 p.m. and says I don't know, like what's like a mid cap stock, like I love like Zoom stock, or I love Coinbase stock, that stock is going to go crazy because like there's a bunch of algos watching what he says, and it's just like instantaneous. But there's no one has algos running on Bitcoin scaling solution decentralized exchange Alex, because there's not enough liquidity there to make it worthwhile. Yeah, so you can take advantage of that if you're nimble.
No, it's very true. Yeah, and to build on that, I think like I think the biggest thing is that people are I don't know, you know, Cousin Crypto is another influencer on X. Like today he actually posted, he was hyping it up a day ago about some coin I've been doing research in for 72 hours straight and blah blah blah. And he released it today, and I saw it. I put his notifications on for his account on my X app, and I got it right away. And when I went to Dex Tools, saw his ticker that he tweeted about. It's called GDAG or something. Anyways, it's supposed to make it so you can mine COS, K-A-S, COSPA, however you pronounce it, with Ethereum, without having to have any actual physical miners. So basically it's a derivative off CAS is all you need to know. COSPA.
Yeah.
And yeah, it started pumping right away. And I saw his tweet, I'm like, it's not going up a lot though, considering he got 500,000 views on his hype tweets from the days previously, with like thousands of likes, bunch of kids waiting for that ticker. And the second it came out, it went up maybe a couple percent, and I'm just watching. I'm like, when is it the big buy? When are they coming in? And then, of course, next few seconds just explodes. And I'm sitting there like, I mean, I could just bought that the second I saw the tweet. It's tough for me to want to do those because I don't usually like to just, follow. But you're right. There is a huge opportunity in just waiting for those, and especially right now when all these influencers are starting to do it. They're starting to actually shill because everyone's coming back. So that was interesting you mentioned that, because literally just this morning I was following Cousin Crypto doing the exact thing.
Yeah, I mean, like, let's say like you just came into crypto, like it's 2017. You don't know anything, and this guy's like caked off crypto, and he says buy this coin. You're just gonna buy it.
Yeah, it's easier. You don't have to do any research. You just let someone else tell you what to do. It's what everyone does.
I mean,
start.
Even like we do it to an extent. Like if there's people that we like who like it, we're gonna say like, yeah, we like it as well because we know, like either like we trust their analysis or we trust that their positive analysis will bring bullish price action to the coin.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly.
Like I talked about this in one of my videos about like theses on investing. Is like how the coins that do the best have like these charismatic people behind them. Like if you look at, let's say, like remember like WAGMI from last cycle?
Mm-hmm.
Like all those coins like Popsicle Finance, Wonderland Money, and Abracadabra Money. Those did so well because obviously like the tech was good and it's innovative, but if you heard like Danielle talking on like podcasts and on like Twitter Spaces, he knows a lot, like he can explain everything, but he also has like that very human element where like if you hear like Vitalik talk, like obviously he's a genius, but he's not very charismatic. Like he can't, like he's not like spamming out WAGMI on the TL and like talking like shit about bears. Yeah.
Like that's full Chad mode.
I mean that would be bullish.
Yeah.
Vitalik takes speaking class. But like yeah, for like other projects like Luna was like this before it blew up. Like Do Kwon was loved.
Yeah,
like even like FTX. Like people,
and of course Solana was
loved. So like, yeah, like if this is your first crypto cycle, like last cycle, coins would just pump because they were Sam coins, like FTT coin pumps. What does it do? Nobody knows. Do you know what it does?
Well, that's the problem is you have equity and then you also have a coin too for your exchange.
Yeah, it didn't make sense.
It's the same situation with BNB and Binance. Like Binance isn't public, but they do have private valuations. So what
BNB is the smart chain stuff, right?
Yeah, but I think they still have BNB, which you can use just to get lower fees on your exchange.
Oh yeah,
That's
right.
the utility of BNB and why it did so well in some of the last bull markets is because everyone just bought it to have lower fees. But like, yeah, it's weird. You still have the private valuation for the company, and then you also have BNB, which is almost priced as if it's the equity of the exchange. So yeah, I don't really understand the whole exchange sector. That's a whole other weird area. It's funny.
But yeah, have you looked into Coinbase?
The stock?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I was really tempted, and I just thought there's other things I wanted to buy more, so I didn't go into it. But yeah, I've been seeing a lot of people on X printing off some call options they bought on Coinbase stock. And I think Robinhood, I've made a couple posts about Robinhood. I thought that was a juicy one.
Do you think Robinhood can recover from last bull run, from the crap they pulled with like GameStop and all that stuff?
Yeah, I think actually it's pretty sticky compared to what most people assume, or at least the headlines that were coming out after all the backlash. Because
I think people just forget, to be honest.
Yeah, and you know, at the end of the day, Robinhood's like the best app to use. It's so nice. And they do innovate. You know, they're one of the first to give. I think they're probably the first ever to give a match on IRA. Like you only get matches on your 401k through your business, or through your employer at the company you work at. They match you like 1 to 6% of your paycheck. But on your IRA, you don't get any match, and Robinhood now matches you with that. I mean, that's amazing. So There's a ton of really cool things happening with Robinhood, and now they just opened up in Europe as well. So now you can trade crypto on Robinhood in Europe. So that'll definitely bring in a lot more fees for them. So I do think Robinhood stocks a decent long-term bet, but I made a post saying I'm going to buy Robinhood on Monday, and this was like a week or two ago, under $8 or something, and I never did it. And of course now it's like 10 or 11. So I think I missed that one. I would have probably bought call options on it and been up a couple 100%, but we'll see.
Well,
I think it'll do well, but I think there's just other things that are better than buying stocks. Like there's a lot of people buying miners right now. I don't know if you think that might be a good stock for people to buy.
Yeah, I mean, like last run, like
miners,
Mara went stupid.
Yeah, or just even buying Microstrategy too. Not even the miners, just straight up buying the stock.
That's up more than Bitcoin. Yeah, it's like leverage.
Yeah, it
Bitcoin.
is very weird. There's like a certain. I've seen a lot of some of the prominent guys on X, at least the old traditional macro guys, like Mike Novogratz. They're chatting about how amazing it is that MicroStrategy isn't going down, even though he's raising stock to buy Bitcoin, right? Like,
yeah,
he's diluting the stock to buy Bitcoin. So the stock should be going down, but it's not, and that's because there's such an appetite for people to own exposure to Bitcoin through equity. And I think that's a really good sign for what's coming with Bitcoin ETF. And we could go into a whole nother rabbit hole about if the Bitcoin ETF is going to be a sell the news or not. But yeah, that's going to be really exciting to see too over the next few months.
Yeah. Do you think Sailor's ever going to get on board with like the scaling narrative on Bitcoin?
Ooh, yeah, it's tough. It's funny actually. Some of the notes I had, I want to chat about the controversy there with Bitcoin. Developer named Luke, this guy from Ocean Mining. It's a Bitcoin mining company. He's been a developer, Bitcoin core dev for a long time. Basically, he hates ordinals and stamps and all the NFTs coming on Bitcoin, all the scaling shit. He doesn't like it. And so, you know, you got these taproot wizards with Udi, which is like one of the biggest actual image NFTs. Because these other coins like Pizza and Ordi, they're technically NFTs, but they're traded as coins. But yeah, the image-based leader right now for like a profile picture is Taproot Wizards, and they're going head-to-head. You got like the Bitcoin Maxi, Max Kaiser crew versus Udi and the younger crowd that are all like, let's bring some DeFi and JPEGs to Bitcoin. So it's really going down, and it's been really funny to watch them kind of go head-to-head. But I do think it's going to be a big problem, possibly in the future. It's going to create FUD even maybe if it gets to a crazy point where there even could be some like forking discussions. Like I don't know where this goes. Yeah, I don't know where this goes, and I don't know if people are thinking into it enough. But anyways, yeah, that's really big. And like you even have Max Kaiser saying these NFTs on Bitcoin are illegal. In El Salvador, we already decided all that. There's nothing but Bitcoin, and we're like, dude, this is on Bitcoin. So like they're extremely strict, these Maxi guys. So I don't know where it's gonna go, but it's something to pay attention to, because I think the biggest alpha is that the creator of Ordinals is coming out with another protocol. I think I'm right on this. I gotta double check. And it's going to be called Runes, and it's supposed to be like the one, like standardize this stuff and just forget about all the other stuff. It's going to be Runes, so keep a close eye out for Runes. This is going to be talked about a lot.
Okay.
Months or year, whenever it comes out. I don't know. Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to wrap this up. Thanks everyone for watching. Make sure to follow us on YouTube, Twitter at Helium and Crypto, and then Twitter at Mezma
00.
Okay, peace.